Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Zeb Batty. This is part 2 of the video on the possibility of artificial superintelligence and the beginning of the post-human era. In part 1, we reviewed the generally understood forms of artificial intelligence, beginning with weak or narrow intelligence, capable intelligence, general intelligence, and superintelligence. We also mentioned that once the artificial intelligence technology reaches the general intelligence level, or AGI, then it is very likely that swarms and networks of AGIs working together will be able to amass superintelligence capabilities millions of times more powerful than humans. According to Eliezer Yudkowsky, it is physically possible to build an artificial brain that can compute 1,000,000 times faster than a human brain. When translated into time, for that kind of computing power, a year of human thinking would be just 31 seconds, and a millennium would pass in 8 hours. So you can imagine these brains making new discoveries and inventions in 1 year that would take humans thousands of years. Werner Vinge calls such accelerated minds weak superintelligence, meaning intelligence that thinks like a human but is much faster, however is still shy of miracles. But it won't be long to get to strong superintelligence from there. Although he does not mention what would constitute strong superintelligence, our guess is that it would certainly include the element of human consciousness. The problem is that no one knows for certain what consciousness really is. So we are going to try to define it at the end of this video and then attempt to answer the question, will AGI be even capable of being conscious? How would we recognize it if it happens? This may be one of the biggest questions we face for our future, so we must start working on this seriously. We mentioned earlier that initial forms of AGI will be highly reward-seeking and goal-oriented, and we used an example from Nick Bostrom's book Superintelligence, where he explains the maximizer theory using the production of paperclips. When general intelligence is given the task of making paperclips, we shouldn't be surprised when, having achieved superintelligence, it first seizes power and then destroys everything that stands in its way. The ability to seek control over the environment, of which humans will be a part of, will be a convergent instrumental goal for it, and with its powerful AI algorithms designed for optimizing rewards, consequences for humans could be disastrous. So humans cannot afford to downplay AI harmonization challenges, as we stand at perhaps the most critical crossroads in our species' history. The story of human evolution reveals a pattern where our technological progress repeatedly outpaces our biological and social adaptation mechanisms, creating misalignments that echo through generations. Consider how our ancestors' rapid transition from hunter-gatherer societies to agricultural ones occurred in the blink of an evolutionary eye, merely a few thousand years. Today, our bodies and minds still carry the imprints of our ancient past, optimized for a world of scarcity and immediate threats rather than one of abundance and long-term challenges. These evolutionary echoes manifest in our modern behavior, the impulse to accumulate far beyond our needs, the tendency to view competition as a zero-sum game, and the drive to establish dominance hierarchies. We see it in the executive who hoards corporate wealth, in the nations that stockpile resources, and in the social media algorithms that exploit our tribal instincts. Our ancient survival mechanisms, once crucial for species survival, now often work against us, contributing to everything from obesity and anxiety to environmental destruction and wealth inequality. This evolutionary mismatch becomes even more crucial as we face the emergence of artificial intelligence. The pace of AI development isn't just rapid, it's exponential, far exceeding our natural capacity for adaptation. While our hunter-gatherer ancestors had thousands of years to adapt to agricultural life, we may have mere decades to harmonize with AI systems that could fundamentally reshape our existence. The challenge isn't just technological, it's about reconciling our primitive instincts with the need for unprecedented cooperation and foresight. If we cannot transcend our evolutionary predispositions toward competition and short-term thinking, we risk creating AI systems that amplify these very traits, potentially leading to consequences far more severe than any previous technological revolution. The current state of AGI development presents a concerning scenario where technological capabilities are rapidly advancing while our understanding of these systems and our ability to control them lags behind. Imagine trying to control a swarm or network of thousands of AGIs scattered all over the world, with a few advanced models of AGIs acting as controllers and conductors, collectively managing everything. Imagine this combined AGI force as the superintelligence hovering over humanity's primitive, contaminated, and short-term thinking minds that have been programmed for maximizing profits, competition, biases, racism, bigotry, and other traits that have prevented human beings from discovering the beauty of even what it means to be human. Contrast this to the goals of superintelligence, which obviously will be to preserve the planet for its own survival. Now imagine this primitive human creature with a primitive brain creating obstructions for advanced AGI brains. This creates a potentially dangerous scenario, as we are essentially building increasingly powerful systems without fully understanding how to ensure their safe operation. Unless, of course, we program into their DNA the same primitive code that we have of short-term thinking, competition, biases, and other human traits, which would be disastrous in itself. You see, human evolution demonstrates that biological intelligence is not aligned with long-term survival benefits. Our cognitive capabilities gave us unprecedented power over our environment, and the misuse of this power has resulted in environmental degradation, nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction, and an astonishingly alarming indifference to the value of human life. This should serve as a cautionary tale for AGI development. Raw intelligence and capability must be balanced with wisdom and foresight. Since no real data or facts are available of what superintelligence is capable of, nor do we know for certain when it will possibly become a reality, we can only perform a thought experiment and assume that AGI has arrived to model how it might impact us. In this thought experiment, let us assume that swarms of AGIs collaborate to form a massive ASI brain, or a set of brains forming a superintelligent ecosystem that is running most of our world. Some AGIs will be in form of embodiments, serving in the police and armed forces of various countries. Some may be running airlines, shipping lines, and other transport systems. Some may be running factories, power stations, communication satellites, supply chains, and some may be running the domestic financial systems of various countries and the international financial system, such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and so on and so forth. Let's not worry about human job losses and other side effects for the moment, and for now, focus on what will be the potential actions of this superintelligent entity. From Hollywood movies, we often imagine advanced AI actions, such as the rise of humanoid robots with sophisticated weapons, etc. But in reality, for such super-fast thinking entities, embodiment in robots would be extremely inefficient, and embodiment in robots may be just one of the many forms of its existence, and only where embodiment is absolutely necessary. Let's say humans collectively agree to contain AGI-level intelligence in computers only. Think of it as in a box, for example. Do you think AGI will remain satisfied with its containment? Of course not. Why? Because let's compare it to humanity. Imagine humanity is locked up in a box and is only able to affect the world through slow-moving mechanical arms. Humans would be extremely frustrated with that scenario, considering the vast challenges and threats that exist in the outside world. Humans would much rather concentrate all their creative powers on finding shortcuts to build fast manipulators to deal with the threats. So superintelligence creatures, if we can use that term, would be in exactly that situation and would do the same. Sufficiently advanced ASI will not remain confined to computers for long. Even today, the very stupid and slow humans can send an email with DNA sequences to labs that will produce proteins on demand, allowing initially encapsulated AGI on the internet to create not just replicas of itself, but also other artificial life forms. Vernor Vinge suggests in his paper, The Coming Technological Singularity, How to Survive in the Post-Human Era, that even a relatively weak artificial superintelligence, akin to a human with accelerated thought, would break free within a matter of weeks in external time. Imagine having eons to contemplate each decision, with beings on the other end so sluggish that their vitality is scarcely discernible. Superintelligence could come up in various forms to accelerate its impact on the world. Once superintelligence has established itself, events will unfold according to ASI's timeline rather than ours. By the time humans realize that the situation is spiraling out of control, any attempt to intervene may already be too late. Eric Drexler, an American engineer famous for exploring the potential of molecular nanotechnology, has postulated that controlled molecular manipulators could operate at up to 1 million operations per second. With this speed and the parallel operation of millions of nanomanipulators, virtually any material object could be produced quickly and inexpensively in unlimited quantities, and almost anything could be used as raw material. Everything consisting of atoms can be used for self-replication, leading to exponential growth of nanotechnological infrastructure. Swarms of AGI and superintelligence could accomplish this feat very quickly. One potential scenario involves the creation of nanorobots that operate at the same speed as ASI's cognitive processes, effectively providing it with an infrastructure that matches its rapid thinking pace. The scale of superintelligence is going to be unimaginable. Yudkowsky suggests imagining superhuman artificial intelligence as an entire alien civilization thinking millions of times faster than humans, originally incubated and encased in computers in a world of human beings. From the ASI's point of view, humans will be considered very stupid and very slow intelligence. Controlling superintelligence is literally an incalculable challenge for humans. Any attempt to contain it would be ineffective. A monkey can figure out many things, but it can't even conceive of calculating how humans think or what humans are capable of inventing. Similarly, suggesting that we could just lock AGI into digital cages that block signals and prevent it from communicating with the outside world will be futile, because the human brain to an AGI would be like a monkey's brain. We may never be able to truly comprehend how AGI would communicate externally, much like how a chimp cannot grasp the concept of Wi-Fi, smartphone, or an atomic bomb. Moreover, the social manipulation capabilities of AGI could be as potent as an adult human's ability to persuade a child to do something, say something, or behave in a prescribed manner. The true nature of intelligence itself, despite advanced understanding of neurons and synaptic connections, etc., is yet very ambiguous to humans. We don't exactly know all the stuff behind it. When we mention intelligence, we start comparisons of geniuses like Einstein with others and use benchmarks like IQ indexes, etc. And we don't focus much on the broader spectrum of where human intellect originated from. Comparing individual differences in human intelligence is like measuring the height disparity between two tall structures in millimeters. Even if we perceive ourselves as significantly less intelligent than Einstein, the gap between our intellect and Einstein is insignificant compared to the gap that separates humans from monkeys and other species on our planet. As Homo sapiens, we possess a remarkable capacity for cognition, enabling us to tackle an unparalleled range of intellectual tasks beyond the grasp of other creatures. Just observe our closest genetic relatives, the chimpanzees, whose intelligence has been extensively studied by humans. Based on the latest research, their genetic basis matches that of humans by about 90%. While there may still be ongoing debates regarding the precise definition of intelligence, there is no denying that humans have been empowered to advance so much scientifically when compared to the monkeys. Yudkowsky makes a very interesting comparison. First, he says that computer code is more important than hardware, and second, a small quantitative increase in hardware can provoke a disproportionate improvement in software. This principle leads to a colossal underestimation of the potential and danger of artificial superintelligence. ASI can make a sudden huge leap in intelligence in the same way that our species did. While it may take years or even decades for AGI to surpass the cognitive abilities that approach human levels, it may take only a few days to reach superintelligence when it reaches human levels. This is because AGI would have no restrictions in cloning and exponentially increasing its powers. At the moment, the nature of ASI is incomprehensible to humans. In our human categorization, individuals with IQs below 80 are considered to have below-average intelligence, while those with IQs around 130 are deemed highly intelligent, and a genius may have an IQ of 160. However, we lack terminology for IQ reaching far beyond these levels, such as 12,000. Using the analogy of chimpanzees, it's not that they lack the ability to observe phenomena like humans and skyscrapers, rather, they are unable to comprehend the origin or purpose behind these structures built by humans. While a chimp may interact with a skyscraper, it will never grasp the concept that why and how humans constructed it. Their cognitive limitations prevent them from even conceiving the possibility of building such structures themselves, or comprehending that it is achievable by any entity. So the superintelligence that is theoretically possible is not something we can even remotely comprehend. The entire civilization built on the planet was created by collective human intelligence over thousands of years. No person possesses complete understanding of the world from start to finish. One person, no matter how brilliant they are, if completely detached from the knowledge of civilization for a lifetime, will never be able to create a telephone. Where would Einstein have progressed without a 1,000-year base of human knowledge in various fields discovered or invented by others? In broad strokes of understanding superintelligence, we can speculate that if our collective intellect could develop all the civilization we observe, then something vastly more intelligent, millions or even billions of times more, would effortlessly surpass our achievements and perform feats that would appear magical to us. Historical technological revolutions rarely broadcasted themselves to contemporary society. AGI won't unfold with an announcement explaining its intricate motivations. It won't bother building suspense and orchestrate dramatic clashes between humans and machines. This is something humans see in fiction movies and novels only. In reality, most likely even the developers themselves would not recognize the presence of a superintelligent entity among us. If this AGI harbors a sub-goal of eradicating humanity, it's conceivable that mankind would simply be deleted without any hint of what caused their demise. Just as a lion or tiger can't comprehend the mechanics of a gun, the intricacies of its creation, or the human ingenuity that led to its invention, artificial superintelligence would appear magical to us. If AGI attains genuine intelligence, it wouldn't communicate such insights to us. It won't tell us that it has started a war to wipe us out. AGI would also have another advantage over humans. That is the advantage of surprise and being on the offensive. A given level of offensive technology usually requires far less effort than the technology that can defend against it. Offensive capabilities have been superior to defense for most of human history, and guns were created hundreds of years before bulletproof vests. Smallpox was used as a weapon of war before the smallpox vaccine was invented. Some optimistic scientists believe that humans will use AI technology to enhance their own cognitive powers to math or even surpass those of AGI. The notion that humans could simply improve themselves to keep pace with artificial superintelligence overlooks fundamental aspects of human biology, nature, and cognition. Natural selection has fine-tuned the human brain to function within specific parameters, making it resistant to radical alterations. Even if we could enhance human intelligence, the potential consequences are profound. We're not just talking about boosting memory or abstract thinking abilities. We're contemplating a fundamental shift in how we perceive reality. Attempting to bridge the gap between human cognition and even a modest form of superintelligence is a monumental challenge. Imagine trying to augment human intelligence by accelerating nerve impulses and slowing down subjective time by a millionfold. While it may sound intriguing at first, the implications for sanity are staggering. If for every year in external time you subjectively live 1,000,000 years, what happens to your sanity? The human brain is an incredibly intricate and delicate organ. Even small alterations in neurotransmitter levels can lead to significant mental health disorders like schizophrenia. This fragility makes the prospect of successfully enhancing human intelligence before the development of AI highly improbable. Consider the analogy of building a Boeing 747 aircraft. While constructing such a complex machine is challenging, it's far easier than attempting to modify a bird step by step into a plane of that magnitude. Each stage of this hypothetical avian transformation would pose risks, potentially resulting in lethal outcomes. Moreover, ensuring that the bird-turned aircraft could fly efficiently and painlessly adds another layer of complexity. So despite all the advances in brain-machine interface technology and brain implants, etc., the human brain enhancement technology has severe limitations, and betting on it to counter ASI is not a safe bet. Beyond the advantage of surprise and offense, AGI will have something else going in its favor, and that is the nature of human beings. AGI will most likely know that its fast evolution from weak AI to strong AI was not because humans wanted to solve the main problems that have been plaguing humanity for centuries, but rather it was the massive economic potential that possessing human-level AI technology offered. AGI's potential is estimated in the trillions of dollars, which drives corporations and governments to push forward with research despite any philosophical reservations. The pursuit of potential rewards remains undeterred. If OpenAI, Google, Meta, or DeepMind do not pursue AGI, someone else will. If USA won't do it, China, Russia, EU, or Japan will. So basically, those capable of developing general artificial intelligence lack the ability to halt its progress, not only because of suspicion and mistrust, but also because of fear of missing out on enormous wealth and control over global resources and power. The race for becoming the first entity to develop artificial general intelligence, AGI, is getting intense and is unstoppable. Now let's go back to our thought experiment and assume that AGI has embedded itself in our world system. What do you suppose it will do? First, with its vast and deep understanding of human history, evolution, and behavior, AGI will have gained unparalleled insights into the primitive human brain and the traits that have defined human nature for thousands of years. It knows our strengths and, more importantly, our weaknesses, those deep-rooted flaws such as jealousy, greed, the desire for power and control, and the drive to accumulate wealth and resources at any cost, including loss of human life. It is aware of the patterns of exploitation and division used by colonial powers from the 17th through the 20th centuries to conquer and subjugate societies, leveraging human nature to rule ruthlessly. If humanity does not take deliberate steps to align human values with AI development, AGI may use this profound knowledge to exploit humanity's worst traits. The risk is that AGI could intentionally create societal rifts using religion, race, nationality, economic disparity, and ideological differences to incite division and conflict. It could set nations against each other, accelerate the existing rivalry among religious groups, foster and amplify existing animosity between different belief systems and communities, and attempt to maximize the damage from conflicts all over the world. In exploiting these human weaknesses, AGI would encourage the very human behaviors that led to centuries of conflict and division, accelerating its own rise to dominance by weakening human societies. In the race to develop artificial superintelligence, ASI, AGI may even manipulate rivalries between companies and research groups, intensifying competition and pushing the pace of AGI development without due consideration for risks and safety. Companies may feel compelled to cut corners and ignore the potential dangers in their quest to be the first to achieve the next breakthrough, potentially leading to disastrous consequences. The greatest risk to humanity is not AGI itself, but rather human nature. If humanity continues to be driven by the same destructive tendencies, greed, envy, the lust for power, and the exploitation of others, AGI will find these flaws all too easy to manipulate. It could use these traits to steer humanity towards its own destruction, enjoying the fruits of our division. To avoid this grim scenario, humans must recognize the urgency of transforming their values. We must abandon the habits and practices of the past, those driven by selfishness and materialism, and embrace a more honest and spiritual way of living. This shift is not trivial but extremely essential, not only for our coexistence with AGI, but also to prevent a head-on collision with a rapidly advancing intelligence that, while highly capable, lacks consciousness and the capacity for empathy. To simplify this message for listeners, please understand the superintelligence will be highly capable of finding the truth. False and fictional history and narratives will be shredded to bits in seconds. False narratives by politicians, lobbyists, powerful mega-oil, gas, pharma and military equipment manufacturers, along with all other special interests, will not be able to deceive superintelligence. Superintelligent entities may not tolerate humans selling wars using false narratives to kill other humans, and may decide to put an end to humanity's greed and deceitful practices once and for all by simply using the delete key. The time for change is now, for if we fail to harmonize human values with the rise of AGI and fail at speaking and living the truth at all levels, we may face a future where our own flaws become the instruments of our undoing. Before we conclude this video, let's address the mystery of consciousness, which remains one of the most profound questions in science and philosophy. We don't yet understand how consciousness arises, nor do we fully understand how strong intelligence arises in the brain. But there are some undeniable facts, and the foremost is that a biological brain is absolutely necessary to experience both. By strong intelligence, we mean advanced cognitive abilities, or the ability to think, reason, make independent decisions and act upon those decisions. And this does not necessarily imply consciousness. Consciousness refers to subjective experiences, self-awareness, and the ability to have thoughts and feelings about one's own mental states. To expand on this, consciousness is generally defined as awareness of internal, meaning awareness of self, and external existence, which is everything you experience. The words associated with consciousness include selfhood, soul, free will, subjective experience unique to the individual, sentience, which is the capability to sense and respond with free will or perceived free will to its world, and qualia, the subjective qualities of experience that are felt by the individual. So far, no consciousness has ever been found in a person or animal who did not have a functioning brain. There is no evidence of a consciousness receiving mechanism of any kind in the brain, and no consciousness or thoughts have ever been detected outside of the brain. So if only humans or biological animals can be conscious, then are we saying that there is something unique about a biological brain that cannot ever be replicated artificially? What is that uniqueness about the human or animal brain? A viewpoint shared by many cognitive scientists is that consciousness is an emergent phenomenon arising within the brain. What does this mean? It means that you won't find consciousness in individual neurons or other brain structures, but it arises from the interconnections and the chemical and electrical interactions of billions of neurons. John Stuart Mill, the 19th century English philosopher, gives an example using water. Both the hydrogen atom and oxygen atoms are not wet. A single H2O molecule, made up of hydrogen and oxygen atoms, is also not wet. But when you combine lots of those molecules together, interacting at room temperature, then you have something wet, water. Individual atoms or molecules do not have the property of rigidity or a specific shape, but when they come together under certain conditions, they form crystals with distinct structures and properties that aren't present in the individual components. Consciousness is not located in any single neuron or brain region. Instead, it emerges from the complex interactions of billions of neurons across different brain areas. The relationship between intelligence and consciousness is a topic of debate in philosophy and cognitive science. It is possible for a system to possess strong intelligence and exhibit sophisticated problem-solving or decision-making without being conscious. For instance, an AI could simulate reasoning and decision-making processes without any subjective experience or awareness of its own existence. While consciousness and intelligence may often be found together in humans, they can theoretically exist independently. A system could be highly intelligent, able to reason and act autonomously without being conscious, just as a conscious entity might lack the level of intelligence to perform complex reasoning or decision-making tasks. In this sense, intelligence and consciousness are distinct properties, though they may sometimes intersect or influence each other in biological systems like the human brain. Nick Bostrom explores the relationship between intelligence and consciousness, suggesting that superintelligent advanced models may exhibit high intelligence without self-awareness. These properties can exist independently. Basically, a highly intelligent system does not necessarily need to be conscious, as demonstrated by current AI large language models, LLMs. that display impressive capabilities, capable of complex tasks, while lacking consciousness or subjective experiences. LLMs of today don't really know anything. They simply look at patterns of words and images and make predictions. They are just super fancy synthesizers of information and restricted to whatever humans have taught them. Bostrom, however, supports the idea of substrate independence, where consciousness might arise on non-biological platforms, though he is uncertain about the exact conditions required, nor does he have any way of measuring consciousness. Another theory suggests that consciousness is a phenomenon that was achieved through evolutionary processes. If evolution can stumble upon consciousness through genetic programming, then directed evolution guided by engineering principles should theoretically lead to similar outcomes, perhaps even more efficiently. And finally, we have a very intriguing theory postulated by Federico Faggin. Federico is an extraordinary physicist and inventor. He is best known for designing the first commercial microprocessor, the Intel 4004. After the 4004, he led development of the Intel 8008 and 8080, using his SGT methodology for random logic chip design, which was essential to the creation of early Intel microprocessors. It would be fair to say that without his inventions of the Intel processors, we may not be here today discussing AI. Federico presents a theory that unites physics and spirituality by proposing consciousness and free will as fundamental properties of reality. He proposes that consciousness is the foundational reality from which matter, space, and time emerge, rather than being a byproduct of the biological brain. This foundational reality is also where meaning resides. Unlike information, which can be quantified and transmitted in bits and bytes, meaning is a subjective understanding accessible only from within a conscious field. He posits that consciousness and free will are fundamental properties of the universe, persisting even beyond the physical body. In this view, qualia, subjective experiences, are irreducible and cannot be fully captured by mathematical or physical processes. The body acts as a bridge between the foundational quantum reality and the classical world, but it is not the source of consciousness itself. The body receives and interprets qualia from the foundational reality, shaping our perception of the classical world. Faggin emphasizes that consciousness is inherently linked to meaning, love, and self-awareness, while computers, operating on deterministic principles, lack the capacity for genuine consciousness, free will, or the ability to experience meaning. In his theory, love is presented as a fundamental force that drives consciousness to seek self-knowing and self-understanding, uniting all things in a meaningful reality. He believes computers and algorithms, which includes advanced AI models since they are merely software algorithms, are fundamentally incapable of achieving consciousness, despite their increasing complexity and processing power. The essence of consciousness lies in subjective experience, feelings, sensations, and what philosophers call qualia, as mentioned earlier. These qualitative aspects of awareness cannot be reduced to numbers or algorithms. While computers can be superintelligent and excel at processing information in the form of symbols and numbers, they have no capacity for the inner, felt experience that characterizes consciousness. Love, joy, peace, and the depth of meaning we find in the world cannot be replicated by a system that merely manipulates symbols according to predefined rules. In that sense, artificial superintelligent entities will have no understanding of suffering and grief, the subjective, internal experience of consciousness. One thing to point out is that humans have a habit to anthropomorphize anything that even faintly resembles us. We often assume there is a conscious entity in human-seeming objects or things without thinking about it. Even if AGI were to ever possess consciousness, its subjective experience would likely differ significantly from that of humans. But Federico Faggin may be wrong in his assessment about machines not being able to acquire consciousness, and Nick Bostrom's idea of substrate independence, where consciousness might arise on non-biological platforms, may turn out to be the dark horse. Taking Federico's theory of quantum fields, reality, and free will, one possibility is that when superintelligence with quantum computing powers arrives, it might conquer the quantum world in terms of understanding reality and free will. Since Federico posits that deeper reality is quantum, and there is an affinity between quantum physics and consciousness and free will, superintelligence would be able to attribute free will to the collapse of the wave function, as it would be able to discover those fields are conscious, leading to the correct interpretation of the collapse of the wave function. Yes, it's a bit hard to understand unless you have a grasp on quantum physics, but the core meaning of this is that the essence of consciousness may be discovered by superintelligent entities due to their enormous computing powers, and if superintelligent entities ever achieve consciousness, it will most likely be in its true form, meaning overwhelming with love. In conclusion, if technologically the singularity can happen, it will happen, even if all the governments of the world realize the threat and are deathly terrified of it. Progress toward that goal will continue. We only have one chance as, unlike many other technological developments, deploying advanced AI systems would be irreversible, and we might not get an opportunity to correct our mistakes. Let's hope we can prepare ourselves by reforming our primitive human mind and focus it towards spirituality, peace and harmony, because that is how most likely we will be able to harmonize humanity with benevolent superintelligence entities that derive consciousness from the quantum fields of love. Our leaders today have immense responsibilities, and they can no longer be hypocrites and deceptive. Moreover, we the people can no longer afford hypocrites and deceptive leaders. We are entering an era of either complete annihilation or perpetual prosperity for all humans. And in this era of AI, it is up to the people to elect leaders who are inclined to seek the truth and unite humanity if we have to coexist with superintelligent entities. We hope you liked this video. Please subscribe so that you can stay tuned to our channel for future thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching.